Depression as reliving, depression as protection. Let's look at one example that really shows how this plays out in a very common symptom called major depression. We had one woman who came to one of our workshops, actually one of our conferences, and she did a demonstration which we will talk in more detail about in another video. But basically what she said was that she had this major depression that had been not... We had one woman who came to one of our conferences, and she told us, and what she wanted to work on was a major depression that was not responsive to any kind of treatment she had tried. And she had tried a lot of things, medication, all different kinds of therapies, cognitive behavioral therapy, energy therapies, a variety of things, and nothing was touching it for many, many years. And she described her depression as such. She said, "I feel weighed down, I feel helpless, I feel hopeless, and I can't move." And of course, as we've already just talked about, whenever we are sharing, we actually are revealing our stories. So it turned out, of course, that this woman was literally in a story where she was being literally weighed down. She was feeling helpless, she was hopeless, and she couldn't move. And it turned out, of course, that the weighed down was that she was being weighed down by heavy materials, and she was about to have a guillotine chop off her head. So her depression, which was her helplessness and her hopelessness and her feeling of being weighed down, which she and everyone else thought was a metaphor for her depression, was actually literally a description of her depression as narrative. And when you listen in the literal, worlds open up to you. So we can see how, in her case, her depression was an echo or a reliving of an awful death when she was literally weighed down. Now let's take a different example of a depression. In this example, which we will also talk about this case in its fullness because it's a very interesting case. In the session that we're talking about here, this young man who was in college basically said that he had a major depression. And the way he talked about his major depression is, it's like, I don't care about anything. And what we discovered was that when he was 3 years old, he had made a very special present for his father. And his father, who was having difficulties at the time, basically not only didn't receive his special gift, but pushed him away and went off and left him sort of standing at the door, at which point he said to himself, which he didn't remember, but he remembered very vividly in the session, "I don't care." And "I don't care" is a wonderful precursor for later in life, a major depression, when you try to do something special for someone and you get the sense they're not receiving your gift. And it turned out that all of his major depressions that he had had, which looked like they were biological in nature and were not also responsive to treatment, when he realized what it was and we gave him an opportunity to make a different choice, the depression just went away. So again, we are remembering two things when we relive a situation we can't handle. We relive the situation, and we relive the way we protect ourselves from ever experiencing it again. And being able to make that distinction is fundamental when you're doing healing work.